Hello, hello guys. We are Team 1 to present our topic, the service cylinder head and service camshaft. These are the member of Team 1, Hansbert Bartolata, Arnie Francisco, Lionel Boreros, Joser Sabado, and Brian James Melendez. So dito sa topic natin na to, no, malalaman natin kung ano-ano yung mga services na pwede natin gawin sa camshaft and cylinders. So ito makikita natin dito yung ating mga objectives.
So, we have the step 1. So, sa first step natin, sinasabi dito, we have to remove almost everything higher than the engine block. So, kabilang na dito yung spark plug or mga cylinder sa up natin to makapunta tayo sa engine or sa ating valve. So, dito sinasabi yung tatanggalin natin is the intake manifold and the bulbs cover. So marami tayong tatanggalin ng mga parts bago tayo makarating sa lifter. So dito iba-iba yung iba't ibang model yung sasakyan, kaya marami tayong parts na dapat kabisaduhin. So it takes time to familiarize ourselves sa mga klase ng engine, which is iba't ibang design nga. So mahirapan tayo or kailangan natin talaga i-familiarize yung mga kung paano yung position or yung tamang pagtanggal ng valve lifter natin. So at the point, we're going to first check lagi yung ating user manual or yung service manual natin, and we have to reverse or check our checklist during our assembly. So dito pwede tayong mag-take picture para magkaroon tayo ng reference sa ating cellphone or digital cameras for our preparation para sa disassembly or reassembly. So step 2, sa step 2 na naman natin, we're going to remove the intake ducting. So we're going to start with the tube na papatakbo sa ating filter box papunta sa ating turtle body. Sabi dito, disconnect any tubes, lines, and sensor that need to be, and then we're going to disconnect the cable to the turtle body and any electrical sensor. So to avoid such a electrical circuit, so kailangan natin i-disconnect lahat ng lines ng electrical connection from the intake natin. So kailangan natin i-familiarize, take notes, take a photo, or any kind of method para matandaan natin. Then we're going to drain our gallons and coolant out of the pitcock valve on the radiator into our drain plan. So kailangan natin i-drain lahat ng fluids sa ating engine before makapunta sa ating valve. So in the next slide, we're going to proceed in our step 3, which is unbolt the manifold. So kalimitang mga sasakyan ngayon in modern technology, yung mga sasakyan modern engines ng ating mga sasakyan have 2 parts manifold, which an upper and lower section. So maraming brand ng sasakyan ngayon yung merong 2 parts of manifold. So pag yung cases ganito, we have likely need to remove the upper plenum or the section to get access to the bolts on the lower manifold. So dito may makikita tayong mga lines or sensors. So kailangan natin silang i-disconnect all the sensor na kailangan nating tanggalan. So pag yung upper naman ng ating manifold, section is dapat clear yung view natin and hindi tayo mahihirapan tanggalin yung kahit anong bolts na nandun para ma-remove natin yung or makapunta tayo sa lower section ng ating manifold. And then sa step 4, so we need to unbolt any accessories bracket and clamps from the manifold. So sa ibang engine, marami tayong tatanggalin doon, which is kailangan natin tanggalin yung distributor kung meron man, kasi unlike merong tinatawag dito engine na merong distributor, yung iba naman wala. Mayroong binigay na example which is the Chevy. Ito yung isang engine din na merong ganito distributor, so kailangan natin tanggalin yun. So dito tatanggalin din natin yung crankshaft natin, or ito-turn natin. So turn natin yung crankshaft natin gamit ang ating wrench hanggang umabot siya sa number 1 harmonic balancer. So dito kailangan natin magtanggal ng or mag-place ng mark para sa ating distributor and block mount kung saan talaga yung tamang position nito. So kailangan natin silang lagyan ng mark. And then we're going to remove the distributor cap and place another reference mark on the rotor and sa housing ng ating or sa loob ng ating distributor. And here we're going now to remove the distributor clamps gamit ang ating kung yung clamp natin ay disc screw or kahit yung clamp natin ay nagamitan ng cutter or ng long nose, and then gently pull the distributor out. So kailangan natin maging maingat sa pag-pull sa ating, kasi may laman yan ng oil sa kailangan natin maging careful dun sa oil pump drive shaft natin na manggagaling dun sa ating distributor. So in the next slide we have the step 5. So kailangan natin check yung fuel injection system natin dito kung meron tayong dapat gawin or dapat nating makita sa ating fuel injection. So dito pwede nating i-unbolt the fuel rail and then gently pull natin yung ating injectors sa ating engine. So dito kailangan lang natin i-disconnect the fuel rail or yung fuel feed line natin. So kalimitan dito yung pagtanggal sa ating or pag-disconnect sa ating fuel rail sa ating fuel injection system is nagre-require ng special tools na panggamit para matanggal ang ating fuel rail. And then kalimitan din sa mga sasakyan, kaya nasabi ko there's car models or engine models or mga vehicles na walang gaanong slacks in the fuel line, so they don't even need to pull the manifold out and set it to the side. So yun. And now let's proceed to step 6, remove the bolts or removal of the bolts, which is sinasabi to remove bolts holding the lower intake to the engine. So after getting the bolts, make sure natin na kompleto dapat yun, and dapat ikip natin sa tamang lalagyanan. So dahan-dahan nating i-lift yung ating manifold, palabas ng ating sa pagkakapit sa ating engine. So pag ito ay matigas, pwede natin siyang gamitan ng rubber hammer or rubber mallet para makawala siya dun sa pagkakakabit o pagkakastick niya dun sa ating engine. So take note that wag kang gagamit ng screwdriver to pry it up in the base, kasi maaring mag-cause ito ng crack sa ating parts which is dun sa ating engine, sa mga gilid-gilid. Yung sinabi dito, it could be damage the matting surface on the heads of our intake natin. So, avoids using screwdrivers or kahit anong maninipis na bakal na maaring mag-cause ng cracks or damage sa ating intake or sa ating matting surface. So, let's proceed to the next slide, which is the step 7. So, here we're going to remove the valve cover. So, mag-require ito ng pagtanggal ng maraming bagay. So, isa na dito yung pagtanggal ng ating ignition coil kung merong coil on plug ignition natin. So, getting the valve cover patanggal sa ating cylinder. So, medyo magiging complicated kung ang engine natin ay bago. So, take your time. So, kailangan natin i-take yung ating oras bago natin tanggalin ang ating valve cover. So, next step is to plug the oil drain back hole in the head. So, after plug the oil, yung oil drain natin sa so kailangan natin i-clean lahat ng parts gamit ang ating mga cleaner. So kailangan natin i-clean yung or scrap yung ating mga gasket material na nakakabit sa ating intake or sa valve cover or heads natin. So yung mga di na ginagamit na gasket, kailangan na natin i-dispose even if they look good and reusable. So wag tayong papakampante na pwede pa natin siyang gamitin ulit, which is mali. Dapat natin gamitin ito, palitan na natin agad. So kailangan natin linisin lahat ng pwede nating linisin except lang sa valve drain natin. So kailangan nating linisin yung intake valley natin at yung head natin ng malinis na towel or basahan. In the next slide natin, pag-aaralan na ulit natin yung replacing the lifter. Kanina na pag-aralan natin kung paano tanggalin yung valve lifter. Ngayon is yung replacing. So papalitan na natin. Paano nga ba palitan yung valve lifter natin? So step 1, so kailangan natin muna ibabad yung ating bagong lifter sa ating engine oil. So kalimitang ginagamit to or makikita natin sa mga mechanic shop or kahit sa yung ibang tao na gumagawa nito. Minsan yung iba ay hindi naman ginagawa ito. So nakadepende sa tao yung anong gagawin niya. So kailangan lang talaga natin i-lubricate yung ating lifter ng oil before natin siya ikabit. So the step 1 of replacing, we're going to remove the rocker arm and kailangan lang natin tandaan na kailangan naka in order yung ating mga parts. So in replacing, magiging komplikado yung pagkakabit nito, kaya kasi merong mga matching wear pat or yung mga patterns, may mga patterns dito na kailangan matandaan sa pagkakabit ng ating or pag-replace ng ating lifter. So may mga parts talaga na kailangan iayos kasi may mga pattern siya. So nagkukos ito ng damage or problem sa ating clearance or yung mga ibang components natin is makaka-apekto sa ating clearance once na nakabit natin siya ng di tama. So proceed tayo sa step 2, which is kailangan natin i-pull yung push rod out of our engine, and then keep them with their matching rockers. So kailangan talaga natin silang dapat in order lagi kasi nakamatch yan. So hindi natin sila pwedeng basta-basta na paghalo-halo. Kailangan natin silang i-separate or i-organize. In this time, pwede na natin silang or tanggalin yung ating old valve lifter. So before pulling our old valve lifter, we're going to spray them penetrating oil para sumiksik or malubricate muna yung ating valve lifter. Mga 5 minutes or to 10 minutes pwede natin silang ibabad. So after a few minutes, we're going to try to remove or start pulling them out. So kailangan na natin silang tanggalin. So minsan madali kaya binabad muna natin siya, i-spray muna natin siya para pag nilanggal natin is madali na, kasi minsan hindi talaga, kasi naglalak yung mga jaw sa ating naglalak yung jaw player natin, or naglalaking jaw player yung ating mga lifter doon. So after that, remove all lifter. So pag natanggalan natin, kailangan na natin i-clean yung bores out or yung parts ng with towel or yung mga basahan natin until this squeaky clean, or hanggang maging malinis na sila. So kailangan natin silang linisin na malinis na basahan or na mga pang spray upang maiwasan yung maiwasan natin yung mga used oil or mga dumi sa ating ipapalit na bagong parts. So in the next slide, we have that step 3. So first thing to do is wrap a green scrubby pad around your finger. So yung purpose nito is para gumaspang yung ating kamay sa paghawak ng lifter, para pag ikinabit natin siya, pag twist natin around inside our lifter bars, is hindi siya dudulas sa kamay natin. So kailangan natin sila test. We move up and down. So every 10 seconds kailangan natin silang i-sanding inside in our bores. So usually ginagawa natin ito for the good condition sa ating mga new lifter, para mag-establish ng wear pattern yung ating lifter. So kailangan natin silang sanding or sa ating bores within 10 seconds each ng lifter natin. So after that, wipe them out with a rag soap in parts cleaner when you're done. So let's proceed to the step 4. So sinasabi ko nga lagi, sabi dito sa note, pag meron kang flat-topped lifter, kailangan na natin siyang palitan, pati yung camshaft natin as well, kasi magkukos ito ng problem sa ating engine. So minsan pwede nating ipag-mix yung new roller lifter and old cam or vice, pwede natin silang vice versa. Pero pag meron kang flat-topped cam and lifter, kung meron sila, yung dalawa yan is may problem talaga, so di magtatama yung matching wear pattern natin. So kailangan talaga natin silang palitan, kasi di sila magmamatch yung wear pattern natin sa ating valve train. So pag old na or nakikita natin flat-topped na yung lifter as well yung camshaft natin, so kailangan natin na silang palitan. So in the next slide natin, we have the step 5 sa replacing lifter. So dito i-drop na natin yung lifter between the oil and the bore sanding. And then after that, we're going to install the push rod. And then next step is to install all of the rocker again. So kailangan natin i-dipping yung ano natin sa oil, as sa yung mga rocker natin sa oil. And then we're going to install the rocker nuts and o yung bolts natin gamit ang ating finger. So di muna natin siya ita-tightening kasi gagamitan natin siya ng tools to tight. So we're going to use our finger muna pansamantala. So dito we're going to push down the push rod slide to collapse any lifter filled with oil. So para makuha natin yung tamang pattern, so we're going to rotate engine twice with your wrench. Kailangan natin gumamit ng tools dito para ma-rotate ang engine natin. And dito i-bring back natin yung top dead cylinder and on cylinder number 1. So dito kanina nabanggit natin yung kanina dito sinabi ko nga is pag-usapan natin yung mga pattern kanina sa removing. So may mga tinanggal tayo dun kanina na naka-pattern yung cylinder number 1 na tinatawag natin. So kaya kanina naglagay tayo ng mga mark doon para makita natin or masundan natin yung tamang position and pattern ng ating mga cylinder. So we're going to the step 6. So sa step 6 natin, slide a feeler gauge between the rocker arm and valve stem on the number 1 intake valve. So dito we're going to use about 10 inches clearance. So maglilib tayo ng mga clearance sa ating intake valve or rocker at sa rocker arm natin. So dito we're going to tighten the rocker arm down to the special torque gamit ang ating special torque and lift it in the place. So dito paulit-ulit lang natin silang gagawin gagawin sa exhaust valve din. So dito kailangan din natin gawin sa engine firing order. So kukunin natin yung tamang timing niya kasi kaya natin siya pinapaikot-ikot. Then turning the crank a little after each cylinder until both valves are closed on the next cylinder. So dito pag nakuha na natin yung tamang magkasabay na yung mga valves or tamang pattern ng valves natin kung tama ba yung pag-open and close niya. So dito makikita natin kung tama ba yung pattern na ginawa natin. Kasi pag hindi, uulit tayo sa umpisa, which is mas tatagal yung oras natin. So dito kailangan natin i-double check yung clearance and turkey settings natin kung maluluwag pa yung mga bolts natin. So double check yung mga clearance and turkey natin sa ating mga bolts. So in the next step natin, step 7. So dito kailangan natin silang ibalik lahat. So putting everything back together. So kung ano yung mga tinanggal natin, dapat siya din yung ibabalik natin. So kanina nag-take note tayo, lagay tayo ng mga picture or kumuha tayo ng picture for reference or guide natin. Dito gagamitin na natin siya for assembly. So dito we're going to start the valve cover. So kailangan natin ng mga appropriate gasket and sealant para ma-cover, para mabawasan or matakpan yung or maiwasan natin yung mga leaks or linkages sa ating valve cover. The next step is the lower intake natin. Kailangan natin silang ikabit. And then, follow natin yung fuel rail injector natin na tinanggal natin kanina. So, sa step 8 naman, kailangan natin i-return yung crankshaft position to top and sa dead center. So, according dun sa ating harmonic balancer. So, before natin i-re-enter yung ating distributor o reinstalling ang distributor natin, kailangan is naka-precise siya dun sa ating TDC mark. So, pag naka-align na dun siya sa TDC mark natin, is install na natin yung ating distributor. So, kailangan natin gamitin yung reference mark dun sa ating distributor rotor and body line para mag-match dun siya sa precisely or madali natin silang ipag-match. So dito, going to put back together the intake to the air box. So dito, kanina sinabi natin yung mga picture na kinuha natin is magagamit natin for reference. So precisely to reconnect yung ating mga sensor and line tube. So after that, turk them all. So kailangan na silang higpitan yung mga bolts na ating mga tinanggal according dun sa manufacturer specs or sa tamang turkey settings ng ating mga bolts.
So we're going to proceed in the next slide, which is the removal of our bulbs. So first we're going to identify what is a bulb. So we have two bulbs which is intake and exhaust, as you can see as in the picture, which is identified pati yung kanilang mga parts ng ating mga bulb. So we have seal, bulb lock, retainer, rotator and seal, another seal, and oil shield and bulb spring. So kung wala ang bawat isang parts na naandyan, is di gagana yung ating bulb. So bulb is the one who gives air in our combustion chamber. So yung intake bulb natin is which yung air ay papasok sa ating combustion, and yung exhaust is yung ilalabas yung air na nag-fire or fire out, or yung nilalabas niya yung air na gamit sa ating combustion. So in order to proper inspection ang engine bulbs natin, is kailangan natin for maintenance or repair. So kailangan natin silang i-inspect for maintenance or repair. So we're going to remove the bulbs inside our engine. So we're going to refer to our user manual or our service manual para sa step-by-step guideline na ating pag-remove ng bulb. So in the next slide, we're going to identify or know how to reach the bulb chamber. So dito, bago natin matanggal yung ating bulbs, is we're going to syempre remove all the parts sa taas ng ating mga chamber or sa ating bulb, mga nakapatong. So dito, pag-aaralan natin dito sa slide yung mga step para bago tayo makarating sa bulb chamber. So let's proceed. So noted, if we're going to work, noted that always wear safety eyewear or gloves or sa pang protect sa ating mata for removing and installing bulbs. So let's proceed to the step by step procedure in removing. So we have step 1, So in step 1 natin is we're going to remove the spark plug in securing the spark plug. So first step natin is remove the spark plug. So kung makikita natin, yung mga spark plug natin ay nandito sa gilid, which is sila muna yung kailangan natin tanggalin. So to avoid any damage sa ating mga spark plug, so kailangan natin silang itabi and i-clean kung maaari. So we're going to proceed sa step 2. So sa step 2 natin is we're going to remove the muffler and crankcase breather and any other components na nagbablock or humaharang para ma-access natin yung valve chamber. So dito siguro madadaanan natin yung mga components sa taas ng ating cylinder head natin, which is siyang humaharang papunta sa para ma-access natin yung ating valve. So we're going to proceed to step 3. So sa step 3 natin is we're going to remove the cylinder head bolts and take out other bolts from engine component para makarating tayo sa chamber. So we know naman na we have so yung mga bolts nga, kaya ganun sabi ko, we have at least ilang mga bolts sa ating cylinder. So we're going to loose the bolts according to their pattern or sa guidelines. So after losing the bolts, we're going to remove the cylinder head. So next nating slide. So in the next slide natin, dito na is removing bulbs, automotive type or pin retainer. So dito we're going to remove pin retainer. So gaya kanina, sa step 1 natin is like kanina lang, remove the spark plug and securing the spark plug, lead away from the spark plug. So sa step 2 natin, after removing the spark plug and securing the spark plug, lead away with the spark plug, then adjust the jaws of the valve spring compressor. So part number 19063 until detach the top of bottom of the valve chamber. So kailangan natin silang i-adjust yung mga jaw ng ating valve spring compressor for us to get access sa ating chamber. So para umabot yung sa bottom yung valve chamber natin. So step 3, we're going to push the tools in until the upper jaw slips over the upper ends of the spring. So kailangan natin mas-slip over yung upper of spring natin. So pagkatapos nun, we're going to tighten the jaw to the compress and the spring. So dito mariremove na agad natin yung retainer and pwede natin silang matanggal out of our valves. So pati yung compressors and spring natin pwede na natin tanggalin. So in the next slide, we're going to I'm going to discuss the removing valves keyhole retainer. So in removing the valves keyhole retainer, sabi dito it requires some patience. So dito medyo komplikado and matagal yung tatanggal ng keyhole retainer natin. So sabi din dito, K-shaped slot will help you slip retainer of the valve stem even when the retainer is hidden from your view by the valve spring compressor. So dito pag-aralan natin yung pagtanggal ng ating retainer. So or paano tayo makarating or tanggal ng keyhole retainer natin. So we have the step 1. So gaya kanina, remove the spark plug and securing the spark plug, lead away from the spark plug. So step 2, slip the over jaw of the valve spring compressor over the top of the valve chamber and lower the jaw between the spring and retainer. If the engine design does not permit the upper jaw to fit over the top of the valve chamber, insert the upper jaw into the chamber over the top of the spring so that the spring is between the tool's jaw. So, yun. So in the next slide natin, we have the step 3. So dito, i-rotate natin yung handle ng ating bulb. Spring compressor pa-clockwise to compress the spring. And then, we're going to slide the retainer off the bulb by shifting in with needle nose or yung tools natin. That the large part of the keyhole is direct over the stem. So, we're going to use the pillar para ma-remove ang ating retainer sa ating bulb chamber. So in step 4, we're going to remove the rocker arm bolts with a socket wrench or nut driver. Then we're going to remove the arm and push rods. So dito is nakarating na tayo sa ating bulb chamber, which is we're going to remove the socket wrench we're going to remove the bolt with a socket wrench and remove the rocker arm and push rod. So sa step 5 natin, we're going to remove the bulb caps. Kung ito ay nagamit na, if equipped, they are setted on the bulb stem. So kailangan din natin silang tanggalin. So in step 6, we're going to use our thumbs to press in on the spring retainer and bulb spring over one of the bulb, which the bulb spring compress, remove the retainer. So gagamitin natin dito yung thumbs natin for us to remove the retainer, or kailangan natin i-compress yung bulb spring natin over the one bulb natin to remove our retainer. So dito mapapadali na lang natin yung pagtanggal ng ating retainer. So in the next slide, we're going to step number 7, which is remove the push rod, guide bolt, and push rod guide. So dito i-remove na natin yung push rod and yung mga bolts. And then step 8, we're going to remove the cylinder head bolts and remove the cylinder head by rocking it with your hand. So kailangan natin ugain yung ating cylinder head para makuha natin or matanggal natin yung ating cylinder head if necessary. Loosen the cylinder head by striking it with a nylon face hammer. So di natin sila pupersahin kasi magkakaroon ng damage yung ating cylinder head or yung head natin. So yun, we're going to step up in the step 9. We're going to in the step 9. So in step 9, we're going to remove and inspect the bulbs. So dito we're going to refer or titingnan natin ang ating service manual. So dito we're going to inspect. So sinasabi dito, the intake and exhaust bulb are often made of different steel or alloy and maybe different colors. So dito makikita natin yung pagkakaiba ng mga bulbs. So sinasabi na minsan yung mga bulbs natin ay gawa sa different steels alloy and different colors. So dito sinasabi na kung paano natin ma-remove yung bulb spring natin. So dito sinasabi na we're going to compress lang yung ating mga bulb spring until the two split at ma-compress. And so dito is we're going to compress to loose our bulb stem para matanggal natin agad sila. So dito we're going to be very careful kasi mas madali lang itong malos. So dito release na natin yung compressor natin slowly until it is free. So then we're going to remove the bulb spring assembly and withdraw the bulb from the head. So after removing the bulb, we're going to ipunin natin yung mga bulb natin, put together for examination. So dito we're going to discard the oil seal. And then we're going to repeat the bulb removal procedure on the remaining bulbs. So dito, after doing that, we're going to use the old cylinder head gasket to store the bulbs in their correct sequence. So, next slide natin is the removal of bulb oil seal. So, ano ba yung mga karaniwang problema or ano ba yung mga senaryo kung bakit na may sisira yung ating bulb oil seal o nagkakaproblema? So, sinasabi dito, the advent of the overhead bulb engine brought with a several problem. Isa na dito yung pag ang intake bulb natin is na open, then the piston will draw oil down the bulb steam into the cylinder. So dito nagmi-mix yung the oil we're going to would mix with the air and fuel at magkakos ng pagkasunog. So dito magkakos ng pag nangyari yon, the engine will then smoke. So pag nag-smoke yon, magkakos ng a lot consume oil. Kaya malaki ang importansya ng bulb steam or yung seal natin. Kasi yung seals natin ay parang sinasabi to is parang umbrella or payong na nagko-cover sa hole. Di naman siya parang yung nagko-cover which means is parang nakatakip lang siya doon sa hole natin. Some of them is like O-ring or that slide over the steam. So in the next slide we're going to I'm going to discuss how to remove bulb oil seal. So here we're going to pag-aaralan natin yung step on removing the bulb oil seal. So we have the step 1. Sa step 1 natin, we're going to disconnect the negative battery cable from battery. So kailangan talaga natin yun to avoid a electric circuit sa ating sasakyan. It may cause big damage sa ating sasakyan. So in the step 2, so we're going to remove the spark plug with the special tool spark plug wrench. So kailangan natin i-mark yung mga wires, yung mga spark plug wires natin para mabilis natin silang maikabit pag nag-reassembling na tayo. So in the step number 3, we're going to remove the bulb cover using the tools, small socket and ratchet. So dito we're going to slowly rotate engine by our hands in the same direction as it runs, I mean. So dito kailangan mo ng someone or assistant para gamitin yung finger nila to para matakpan yung spark plug hole pag compress or magkaroon ng compression yung mga hole natin. So gamit yung finger niya, kailangan niya ma-feel na kung merong compression na nagaganap. So pag na-feel niya na merong compression, sabi ko, bring the zero line on the harmonic balancer within an inches of aligning the timing mark on the engine. So dito i-align na natin yung mark sa ating engine, yung timing mark natin sa engine gamit ang ating harmonic balancer. In the next slide, we have the step number 4. So sa step number 4 natin, we have to cut and strip a paper 1 inch wide. So saan natin kaya gagamitin ito? So gagamitin natin siya to wrap around the harmonic balancer and mark it so it can be cut the exact same circumference as the balancer. So sinabi dito, measure natin yung strip paper, then we're going to divide the measurement by number of cylinder in our engine. So pag nagawa natin yon, mark those graduations on the paper. If the engine is 4 cylinder, we're going to fold paper 4 times. Di na natin na sila ikakat. We're going to fold them 4 times para ma-mark natin and mark natin yung mga fold. Then we're going to tape the paper to the harmonic balancer when the two ends of the paper at the zero line on the balancer. So sa step 5 natin, so we're going to push all but 2 inches of the 1/4 inches nylon rope into the cylinder. So kailangan natin ng rope. So yung rope na to, yung magsisilbing gabay inside our cylinder at between sa piston natin. Ito yung nylon or rope natin is keep the bulb from wrapping into the cylinder. So in the next slide natin in removing bulb oil seal is we have the step 6, which is remove the rocker arm from the bulbs on the cylinder 1 or number 1. So kailangan natin bilangin yung exact number ng ating ikot doon sa ating rocker arm nuts, and then i-record natin o ilista natin para mabilis natin silang mapalitan. So we're going to clamp the bulb spring compressor on the top of the bulb spring washer and compress the spring. So dito we're going to push down on the compressor carefully para ma-remove natin or ma-split natin yung bulb keeper. So kailangan natin dahan-dahan lang ilabas yung ating bulb keeper at iwasan natin silang malaglag doon sa ating engine. So pag ganon, remove the bulb spring. So after removing the bulb spring, we're going to pull the old seal of the bulb stem and replace it with a new bulb seal. So dito papalitan natin siya ng bagong bulb seal para maayos na yung kanyang kondisyon. So in the next step, we have the step 7. Place the bulb spring that's still in the spring compressor back onto the bulb stem. So dito we're going to compress ulit yung ating spring papunta sa ating bulb stem. So dito i-place na natin yung bulbs keeper natin pabalik sa ating tapered bulb spring washer. So pull up the bulb spring compressor to force the washer to set the split bulb keeper. So dito dahan-dahan nating i-loosen the bulb compressor until the spring is supported between the bulb keeper and then the cylinder head. So itong step ay kailangan lang nating ulitin doon sa mga natitirang bulb set and para mapalitan natin. And then we're going to reinstall the rocker arm and adjust the nuts. In the next slide, we have the step 8, which is the last slide ng ating removal oil seal. So dito, we're going to back up the engine enough to remove the nylon rope na nilagay natin kanina sa ating cylinder. After that, we're going to remove the rope and we're going to rotate the engine by hand, gaya ng ginawa natin kanina, as the same direction na ating inikot kanina, that the engine runs until the timing pointer is within an inches of the next. So dito is kailangan lang natin talagang i-rotate yung ating mga engine para ma-align ulit yung mga mark na ating i-mark kanina sa ating paper is mabalik yung alignment. Then we're going to consult the service manual for firing order of your specific engine. So kailangan pala natin mag-refer dun sa ating service manual para yung maayos natin yung ating firing order. So dito we're going to rotate the engine until the rope is wedged between the piston and both valves and repeat. Dito ulitin lang natin yung step 6 and 7, which is yung kanina, and then we're going to follow the procedure until all bulb and bulb seals are replaced. Lahat na ay napalitan na. So yon, and then we're going to check the bulb cover gasket for damage. If the damage is present, we're going to replace them. So we're going to reinstall a new valve cover sa ating cylinder head and atin lang siyang ita-tightenin. So dito, we're going to reinstall the spark plug and plug wires on the proper spark plug. And then we're going to replace the negative battery terminal.
Inspecting valves and valve seats. First, inspect each valve for signs of burning, warpage, and excessive phase, stem, and tip wear. If found, replace the valves with new ones. 2. Inspect each valve seats for signs of burning, leakage, or excessive wear. If found, the seat must be machined or replaced. 3. Using a micrometer, measure each valve stem diameter in 3 places where the valve rides in the valve guide and average your answers. 4. Measure the valve margin with a machinist rule and record your reading. 5. Measure the width of the valve seats and record your readings. Compare readings to the specifications and determine needed actions. So, guys, ito yung mga kailangan natin or steps to inspect our valves and valve seats. So, kung mapapansin nyo, bawat steps ng pag-inspect ng valves and valve seats ay nire-record lahat ng nakukuha nilang measure. Kasi, para ma-determine kung kailangan ba itong palitan ng bago. Next, inspect valve spring. Number 1. Set the spring on a perfectly flat surface. Place a combination square against the spring and rotate the spring as you measure any gaps around it using a feeler gauge. Gaps should not exceed 0.0625, 1.6 mm. Replace all suspect spring. Number 2. Using a vernier caliper, measure the spring free height and compare your measurements with the specifications provided in the service information. Replace the spring if it is out of specification. Repeat this process for all springs. 3. To measure the spring's installed pressure, install the valve spring on the valve spring tester. Pull the side handle and compress the spring to the installed height specified in the service information while reading the tester. Record the force that the spring produces and compare that to the specifications. Do not use springs out of specifications. Then, replace valve guide bush. So, number 1 for the replace valve guide bush, replacement. Remove valve guide bush. So, letter A natin, gradually heat the cylinder head to 80 to 100 degrees Celsius, 176 to 212 degrees Fahrenheit. B. Place the cylinder head on a wooden block. C. Using SST, tap out the valve guide bush. Number 2. Install valve guide bush. A. Using a caliper gauge, measure the bush bore diameter of the cylinder head. Bush bore diameter 10.295 to 10.315 mm or 0.4061 to 0.4061 inches. If the bush bore diameter of the cylinder head is greater than 10.315 mm, machine the bush bore to the dimension of 10.345 to 10.365 mm. Letter B, gradually heat the cylinder head to 80 to 100 degrees Celsius. C, place the cylinder head on a wooden block. D, using SST, tap in a new valve guide bush to the specified protrusion height. E, using a sharp 5.5 mm reamer, trim the valve guide bush to the standard specified clearance between the valve guide bush and valve stem. Inspect camshaft. So number 1 ng ating pag-inspect ng ating camshaft is inspect camshaft journals and lobes for obvious damage or wear. If found, replace the camshaft, install the camshaft on a set of V-block so that 2 specified cam journals are resting in VS. Number 2, set the dial indicator so it is engaged on one of the other cam journals perpendicularly. 3. Rotate the camshaft until the dial indicator reaches the lowest point and zero the dial. Number 4. Rotate the camshaft until the dial indicator reaches the highest point and record the reading. Continue rotating the camshaft to verify that the needle does not go below zero. If it does, zero it again and remeasure the run of out. Perform this process on all of the remaining journals and compare to the run out specifications. Number 5. Using a micrometer, measure each journal in 2 places, 90 degrees apart to determine any out-of-round condition. Record your readings and compare to the specifications. Number 6. Reset the dial indicator so it is engaged on one of the cam lobes perpendicularly. Rotate the camshaft until the dial indicator reaches the lowest point and zero the dial. 7. Rotate the camshaft until the dial indicator reaches the highest point and record the reading. Continue to rotate the camshaft to verify that the needle does not go below zero. If it does, zero it again and remeasure the lobe. Measure each of the remaining cam lobes and compare your readings to specification.
So sa topic naman na about sa akin, about dito sa service cylinder. So una is inspect cylinder head for cracks. So the next one is inspect cylinder head for cracks. So makikita naman natin dito sa pictures pa lang na kung ano yung tinutukoy dito. Syempre cylinder head for cracks is inspect the head for defects or damage before reassembling or storing your clean cylinder head. Syempre kailangan natin malinis to or linisin upang malaman natin kung ano yung makikitang mga dumi or cracks kasi matatabunan to ng mga langis na naipon sa loob ng isang makina. So one is oil bag head for storage. So if you intend to store your cylinder head for a time before assembly, you will need to take preventative action to protect it from debris and oxidization while stored. Spray the head lightly with WD-40 before enclosing it heavy-duty plastic bag. So, sinasabi dito is pag bumili ka daw ng WD-40 na pang-spray is you need preventative action to protect it from debris and oxidation kasi magkakaroon to ng defect kung hindi to maayos yung pag-spray mo. Okay naman yung WD-40 na pang-spray pero dapat maayos yung pagkalagay at lahat na tamaan ng pag-spray mo. Then after nun, seal the plastic bag by tying it off, stapling it shut to make sure dirt can fall into by accident. Then make sure you store the cylinder head in a safe place where it won't be damaged. Syempre kailangan naman at pagbibili tayo ng cylinder head is kailangan titignan natin kung may damage o hindi para walang epil. The next one is bulb guide bushing oil clearance. Syempre pag sinabing bulb guide bushing oil clearance, syempre using caliper gauge measure in the internal diameter of the bulb guide bush. So marami to kasi meron ding tong intake or exhaust. So nakikita nyo naman may formula tayo nakikita. So subtract the bulb stem diameter measurement from the bulb guide bush internal diameter measurement. So, meron tayong standard oil clearance, then sa maximum oil clearance. So, makikita nyo dito yung sa standard oil clearance is merong bulb guide bush, intake, exhaust, and specification. Makikita nyo yung pagkakaiba ng millimeter nila at inches. So, if the oil clearance is greater than the maximum, replace the bulb and bulb. So sa bulb lifter Inspect lifter oil clearance. So again, using a caliper gauge, measure the lifter bore diameter of the cylinder head. Lifter bore diameter is 31.009 to 31.025 millimeter. Then letter B is subtract the valve lifter diameter measurement. So step 16 from the lifter bore diameter measurement. So we have again the standard oil clearance and maximum oil clearance. So you'll see the difference of the number. So the standard oil clearance is 0.032 to 0.059 millimeter, or 0.0013 to 0.0023 inches. So makikita naman sa standard tsaka maximum yung pagkakaiba nila. Tsaka yung sa picture. So, if the oil clearance is greater than maximum, replace the valve lifter. If necessary, replace the... Then, camshaft. So, how to install the camshaft. So, makikita nyo naman sa picture, tsaka pag sinerge nyo yung camshaft, we have the installing or removing the camshaft thrust clearance. So, using the dialed indicator, measure thrust clearing while moving the camshaft back and forth. So, if the thrust clearance is greater than maximum, replace the camshaft. If necessary, replace the bearing cups and cylinder head as gauge. The last one is camshaft. Syempre yung oil clearance naman is nagpapalinis sa mga bearings, like clean the bearing cups and camshaft journals. Place the camshaft on the cylinder head. Lay a strip plastic gauge across each of the camshaft journal. Kasi yung camshaft oil clearance, kung tatawagin ito sa motor, yung gasolina kasi is panglinis yun ng mga tumi sa yung mga langis na natuyo na. Ayun yung panglinis sa mga, yung gasolina is ayun yung panglinis sa mga maduduming bearings or nuts or bolts sa motor na naiiwan sa mga loob ng isang makina ng motor. Yung makikita natin, di ba, naman sa may tapalodo, di ba, pinapasukan ng dumi yun or nai-stack. So, i-spray mo lang siya ng gasolina, then babrush mo, malilinis na. Parang ganun din yung sa camshaft. So, measure the plastic gauge wet point. So, notice, completely remove the plastic.